Hey y'all, it's Victoria. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing how I changed jobs when I was on a Tier 2 skilled worker visa. I am no longer on a visa. I no longer need a visa to live, work, or study in the UK because I am a permanent resident. I will link the video below about how I discussed the process of applying for permanent residency. However, before I was a permanent resident and had leave to remain, I was on a skilled worker visa for 5 years. Now, I have made two separate videos breaking down in detail the whole visa application process. You can go back again and watch that for a full breakdown, but I'll give you a quick synopsis. So, while I was still living in America, I applied for the skilled worker visa, and I was responsible for paying for all of the fees, the health service charge fee, any application fee. I was responsible for paying for. But once I relocated to the UK and I was in post at my first job here, my employer reimbursed me all of those expenses, all of the fees, all of the application processing fee, this fee, that fee. The employer reimbursed me all of that money on my first paycheck. Now, if you decide, like me, to change jobs from one skilled worker job that requires a visa to another, your next job is not going to pay for that new visa. You are going to be responsible for those fees, surcharge fees, all of it. You are responsible for it, and your new job is not going to pay for it. So I have friends here that have moved from all over the globe on skilled worker visas, and they were like, come hell or high water, I'm staying at this job because I am not paying any money out of pocket to change jobs. I don't care. It's only for 5 years. I'm staying until my 5 years is up, and then I can either apply for citizenship or for permanent residency. I'm not built like that. If I do not like an employer, baby, I got to go. And honestly, that's part of the perks of being a skilled worker, is that there are plenty of jobs and plenty of opportunities, and you have the freedom to move around. But while you're on a visa, it's going to cost you. And to me, to have the peace of mind to go to a job where I'm not constantly frustrated with the work environment, it is worth whatever I had to pay. To me, it's worth it. But I know people who are like, to hell with that, I'm not paying nothing, I'm just going to stay here. So it really is a personal preference in how you are, in terms of the way that you choose to work. I'm going to pay the money to get the hell up out of there. Now, I'm going to share some screens from gov.uk that explains in more detail what you'll need to do if you decide to change jobs while you're on a Tier 2 skilled worker visa. But part of the reason why I decided to change jobs the first time is because I was working outside of London. I was working in a county that borders London, and I was living in an area that I did not like. I'm going to make a separate video about living in that area. That is not what this video is about, but that is one of the primary reasons why I decided that it would be in my best interest to go ahead and pay for a second Tier 2 skilled worker visa, is to move from outside of London to the city. And I was able to make more money by actually working in London, even though the cost of living is higher. To me, it was worth it. I did not like working outside of London, and I also did not like living outside of London. So that was the primary reason why I decided to change jobs. The second reason is I also did not like the job. And so to me, it was worth paying the money. So now I'm going to share some screens with you from gov.uk. Okay, so this is the skilled worker visa page on gov.uk. We're not going to go through every single part of the guidance, but I'll just highlight the important bits. So in the section titled Update Your Visa If You Change Job or Employer, you'll need to apply to update your skilled worker or Tier 2 work visa if You want to change your job and your new job is with a different employer. This is what I did. So I was living and working outside of London in a county that borders London, and I was offered a new job with a different employer that was located in London. So because it was a new job with a different employer, I had to submit an application to update my visa for a change of employer. Another reason why you'll have to update your visa is if your job changes to a different occupation code and you're not in a graduate training program. So if you go from being a mental health social worker to being a forensic nurse, or from being a psychologist to being a dental assistant, if you are changing industries, you will have to update your skilled worker visa. And the third bullet says you leave a job that's on the immigration salary list for a job that is not on the list. So the immigration salary list is the skilled worker job shortage list. These are jobs that the UK has identified as there being a need, but there is not enough people that are qualified for the position. So they offer overseas workers to come here on a skilled worker visa. So if you leave a job that's on that salary list for a job that's not on that list, then you will also need to apply to update your visa. So bullet point number 1 is what applied to me. So now let's move on to the next section. Okay, so next, let's go into how much it costs. So it says, when you apply for a skilled worker visa, you'll need to have enough money to, I already said this, once you change jobs, you are responsible. Well, you're responsible for the fees anyway. But the first time you do this, your employer reimburse you. If you do this a second and the third and a fourth time, you have to pay for it. So it says, when you apply for a skilled worker visa, you'll need to have enough money to pay the application fee. The standard fee ranges from £769 to £1,751 depending on your circumstances. You'll also need to pay the healthcare surcharge. This is usually £1,035 per year. So if you are applying for a visa for a total of 3 years, you'll need to pay £1,035 3 times. Next, support yourself when you arrive in the UK. You'll usually need to have at least £1,270 available unless you are exempt. So I was exempt from this particular part of the application because my employer was able to show that the salary that I was going to be paid was high enough in order to cover my cost of living, rent, bills, transportation. I did not have to submit any bank statements showing how much money I had in my account. So I was exempt. So that is an exemption, is if your employer can show that you're going to be paid a high enough salary where you're going to be given enough money every month to cover your bills, cover your rent, all of that stuff. So that is generally how much the fees cost. Let's get into the example that they provide. It says, for example, you're applying to come to the UK from Argentina for 2 years on a skilled worker visa. Your job is not on the immigration salary list, so your visa will cost £769 plus £1,035 for each year of your stay for the healthcare surcharge. This means you'll pay a total of £2,839 when you apply for your visa. You'll also need to prove that you have £1,270 available to support yourself in the UK if your employer cannot cover these costs. And then it goes on to the other costs and fees. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen. So again, do go to gov.uk for the most up-to-date guidance. But if you are like me and you decide to change your jobs, you will have to pay out of pocket for it. You will pay less because you are going from paying for a 5-year visa to a lesser amount of time, as that example explained. Now, Something else that I was able to do that I thought was beneficial, if you want to do this as well, is that you can apply for a second job with only one visa. For example, when I changed jobs from working outside of London to inside of London, I worked on that at that skilled worker job full time. What I also was able to do is apply for a part-time hospital role where I worked 2 days a week. I didn't need to apply for a new visa for the part-time job. And that is because the job was in the same industry. So I went from doing full-time clinical social work to doing a part-time forensic social work role at a hospital. So because it was in the same industry, I did not have to pay for a new visa. I just showed the employer that I was currently on a tier 2 skilled worker visa, and they accepted that. And I think you can work up to either 20 hours or 24 hours part-time if you're already on a skilled worker visa. So if you are someone who, wants to just make a little bit of money on the side, you can do that. What you can't do is change industries on that part-time job. So I could not accept a role as a social media manager, or I could not accept a role in accounting. It would have to stay in the same remit of being a mental health practitioner, but it could be with another company without any fees. So I hope you found this video informative. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Drop down in the comments and let me know if you are someone that has changed jobs while you are on a skilled worker visa, and how did you find the process? I found the process to be super straightforward. Once you are already in the UK, because there are so many vacancies, I find it very easy to change jobs. It's annoying. The process of submitting applications and interviewing and all of that is super annoying. And so I get why people are just whatever, I'm just gonna stay here. But baby, I ain't built like that. Baby, I ain't built like that. I'm gonna have to go. So hopefully you found this video informative. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see y'all next time.